My name's Neil and I'm the owner of Cat 1R, which is the blue and orange 620S, which I've now had for 3 weeks. So it's 3 weeks old, it's done just over 200 miles and I've already decided to try and bling it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I plan to change the front springs from the black ones that it came with to another set that I've had powder coated orange to match the stripes on the car. The only problem is I looked online and couldn't find any YouTube videos that could help me understand how to do it. So I'm going to have a go now. I'm going to record it and then put it online so other people can see how to do it if I'm successful. So watch this space. Thank you. Okay, so here's Blue Cat, and the current springs are these black ones that came with the car. Then my plan is to wind down the bottom tensioners here at the bottom, undo the top hex bolt which is just up there, and then undo the bottom hex bolt and then remove the spring in total. Then to use some spring compressors to compress the springs only slightly to be able to remove this top plate which has a slot in it away. Then I'm hoping I can release the spring tensioner and the springs will come off the assembly. But obviously I don't know that, there's no instructions anywhere, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. And here's the very new and shiny powder coated spring, all ready to go on. Okay, the first thing I want to run you through is some special tools you may need, or modified tools. So you need an 8mm Allen key to undo the top and the bottom fixings on the actual shock itself, and what I've had to do with this one is cut it down with an angle grinder to make it a bit shorter so it doesn't foul the bodywork on the top fixing. So that's something you need. You also need some motorbike spring compressors. I bought these from Amazon, came the next day because I didn't realise I needed them. I was just going to use a normal car spring compressors, but they're much too large, much too chunky, it won't fit in between the spring coils. So you need a pair of those. Ratchets to tighten these up. Torque wrench to torque up the fixings after you've finished, top and bottom. And what else we got? Got a 6mm hex. A torque wrench for the wheels, for doing them up, and quite a bit of masking, so to protect some of the paintwork and protect some of the arms, and also for the springs I put these on the spring areas where I'm clamping down on, just to make sure they don't chip or scratch the surface. And what else have we got? A metal rule to measure the displacement of the spring that you set up. And I think that's probably it. Oh, and a couple of 6mm diameter drill bits. Using these ends you can release the coil at the bottom and undo that. And also you need a bit of copper compound, some bearing compound for the bearing surface of the top and bottom bearings on the shocks themselves. Okay, I've jacked up the front of the car and put a single axle stand in the middle cross member, and now I'm going to take off the wheel itself. Okay, next I'm going to loosen off the spring compressors, these two here. So I'm going to loosen the bottom one off with using the 6mm drill bit and another 6mm drill bit in there. So I'll just do that. So all you do is you put 6mm in there, 6mm in there, or let's go a bit lower, and then pull it apart like this. That's it, and the bottom one comes away, and you just wind it down to the bottom by hand. That's it, so the bottom's out. And then this one you'll need to use the drill bits very carefully, you're not banging everything. You need to loosen it off like this, a bit at a time until it gets to the bottom. Okay. Right, I've wound down the compressing pieces that's there, and now I'm going to loosen the top bolt and the bottom bolt, and then in the end take out the bottom one first. Be very careful how it swings over so it doesn't damage the paintwork, and then remove the top one. And this is with a 6mm hex, and they both got covers on them, plastic covers, so retain those to later, and then I'll show you the next bit. There's the front shock, that's off now. These have been released to allow the tension off a bit, but obviously they're still quite tight. Now the plan is to use the motorbike spring clamps on here, one on either side. Do these up. That will compress the spring, which will enable me to then shift off this top plate that's just here. That will go off, and then the spring will come off clear. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Cheers. Okay, so I've now wound back the spring so it's compressed in, and the top plate has slipped out from underneath, and now I can remove the shock and the spring and then put the new one on. Okay, so there's the shock without the spring on it. I did have to bring this rubber down. That won't, you need to move this out of the way to be able to get the ring out, but now it's ready to have the new spring mounted on it, which I'll do next. And you literally do a reverse of everything. You compress the spring, put it on, and then put the captive ring on, and then release the pressure on the spring. Okay, and there we are, the spring's on. I've just got to move this rubber gaiter up. That needs to go to the top, so I can push up. I might have to use a screwdriver, but I've got it up there. And then it's a case of assembling the whole thing back on there, resetting the pitch here. There's a measurement on the 620S. This, from the inside face of this to the surface of that, is meant to be 161mm distance. So I still need to compress the spring quite a bit, but I'll do that when I put it back on the car and then show you the results of that. Obviously I'm going to re-copper, put some more copper inside these bearings. The bearing's missing there, but inside this bearing, so on this surface here when I push it in there, and then torque the fixings up to, I think it was 25 Newton meters, and then put the wheels back on. Okay, so that's the spring back on. I've now got to just set this limit to 161 between that face and the top edge there. Take off the masking tape that's just there to stop me knocking anything. Put the wheels back on, and away we go and see what it all looks like. Okay, job done. I've fitted both sides. I've torqued the wheels, torqued the shocks, 25 Newton meters for the shocks and 85 for the wheels. Everything's in place, and I think they look pretty good. They match the car quite nicely. I'll take it outside with something and see what it's like in daylight.